back in the virtual classroom, and I just want to go over some details about the water storage graph worksheet that we're going to work on. It is the second page of the watershed mapping worksheet. So just scroll down and find your water storage graph. So this graph right here is the level of water that is in Hyatt Lake throughout the whole year of 2020. So if we can see, it says reservoir storage here on the y-axis, and on the x-axis it starts in October 2019 and then goes all the way January 2020 and all the way until September, which is basically where we are right now here. So the red line is the average level or storage volume that is in Hyatt Lake. This is over time, the average. And then last year's level in Hyatt Lake is in this green dotted line. So we can see it goes up and then down. And then this year, 2020, is this blue line here. So it's kind of in the middle, and then, oh, it goes way down to the bottom, and it looks like it's almost empty. So what does that mean for water storage in Hyatt Lake? It means that it's super low, and we are in a drought like we talked about earlier. Okay, so the first question here, it says answer the questions in complete sentences about how much water is in Hyatt Lake, different months in 2020. So what do you think causes the hump or the increase in storage in April through July? So we have April through July about here. So you see how this hump happens right here. Why do you think that happens? And it says hint, think about what happens to water in different seasons. So at Hyatt Lake in the wintertime, it is very snowy there. It is cold. And I went there back in February and it was so beautiful. There was so much snow. And then in the springtime, when around April, March, what happens to that snow? The sun comes out. And what does it do? It melts. And so that snow that was frozen will melt and then flow down our watershed into the lake and fill up the lake. So the storage goes up. And then in the summertime, when there's a lot of heat and the sun is beating down, the water will start to evaporate and the humans will use the water for their farms and the water level will start to decrease. And then in September, where we are here, the water level is so low and we're waiting for the rains to come to fill the reservoir back up. Okay, and then the second question, what does the graph tell us about this year's water storage? So like we talked about, we are in a drought, and does that mean that there's more or less water than average? So make sure you provide evidence. So that means where on this graph do you see that this year's water storage is more or less than average? You can see in September it's very low, and the average is over here about 8,000 acre feet, and where we are now is about couple hundred acre feet, so we're really low. Okay, and then water levels change throughout the seasons. What is the story of change for water in Hyatt Lake? Write your story below in 2 to 3 sentences. So water levels change throughout the seasons. Remember, in the wintertime, in November, December, January, February, there's a lot of snow and the water is frozen, so it's not quite in the lake, but it's starting to fill up. And then the water changes from snow and it melts to liquid form. And then it fills up the lake and it keeps raining in the spring and fills up the lake even more. And then in the summertime, it starts to melt and water is used for farms and the water storage goes down, 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 down until it's almost empty. So write out that story of change for the water in the Hyatt Lake down here in this section. So. Welcome back to Fall in the Field 2020. Marina here, and we are going to think back to the water storage graph that we just analyzed. one conclusion that I wanted you to draw from that graph is that our local water resources are facing a severe drought. So the lake is pretty low. And so droughts not only affect us humans who drink the water and use it for growing food, but it also affects the other animals, plants, the forest, and the whole ecosystem around. So how would Hyatt Lake change if this drought continues? I also want you to think about how the drought affects people downstream, like people who live in the Rogue Valley. We are all connected, and our actions affect one another. Our actions affect also the plants and the animals that live amongst us. So go ahead and take some time and answer those questions. So for the last part of our time together, I want you to check out the water use calculator that's linked below. It is going to add up the water that you use. After that, I want you to answer this last question. So how can you show resilience to our water supply resources in the future? How can you show resilience to our water supply resources for the future? Resilience is the capacity to bend and not break, to recover quickly from difficulties. You have been showing resilience as you push through this difficult year of 2020. You are a resilient human being. So how can we show resilience to our water supply changes for the future? There's no wrong answer to this question. I just want you to think about how we can adapt to the change in our water supply. How can we recover from a drought as humans in a community? So thank you for joining us today here at Fall in the Field. It was a pleasure, and I really look forward to hearing your ideas that you have to save water and to help our water resources for the future. So thanks for joining us, and have a great day.